Good evening, everyone. Charlotte here from Enriching Environments, and it is Top Tip Tuesday on Instagram Live. I am just waiting a few moments whilst all of you are informed that I've gone live, and you'll have to excuse me this evening if I sound a bit bunged up. It's really funny. Olivia had a cold over the weekend, and then Harry started having a sniffly nose today. And I had Olivia's school friends from her class over for a play date this afternoon to celebrate her birthday, which is tomorrow. And literally half an hour after everybody left, I suddenly just had this crazy headache and runny nose and sniffles. So I think that the adrenaline of the party kept me going, and now I've got the cold as well. But it was just a sniffly nose for Olivia for a couple of days, and hi Diane, and nothing more than that, so that's good. And so let us begin. Hi Myra, good evening. I was just letting everybody know that I'm a bit sniffly this evening, so excuse my sniffly voice. I've got some licorice and peppermint tea, so hopefully it will be absolutely fine. So this evening we are going to talk about Montessori being a way of life more than just an education system. And I feel compelled to speak about this because there are lots of misconceptions about Montessori, or there can be a lot of misconceptions about Montessori. And particularly in our world of social media, what we see about Montessori in the home is often very ordered environments, very what would be termed perfect environments, very cream and white environments of perfection and order, and usually a child on the video, behaving impeccably and doing the work that's meant to be done in inverted commas. And this isn't Montessori. This is that child and that parent and that environment having that experience at that time, and that's perfectly valid. However, when we, like with anything on social media, if we believe that the perfection we see on social media is what we need to aspire to, or is the gold standard, then actually it can become quite off-putting. It can actually become quite toxic if we believe everything we see on social media. So what I wanted to do, and this is as my role as a Montessori educator and also as an parent enrichment educator, so I support parents at home with implementing the Montessori method in line with their core parenting values, in line with the values of their home, as an individual, as a family. I support people in integrating Montessori into their home in a way that works well for their culture, for their background, for whether they're both working parents or there's a stay-at-home parent or whatever it might be, they've got their own business, whatever it might be. And so it's really important to me that we understand, that everyone understands that Montessori is a way of life. It's not just a Montessori school. It's not the perfect images we see of these immaculate environments that look perfect the whole time, which is not what happens with young children and is unrealistic. It's a way of life, and it's a way of being with our children, which is nothing to do with the activities that you put out, actually. One of the parents that I had on my latest nanny enrichment workshop, actually, one of the parents was asking several times, what activities can I give for my child? What activities shall I give to my child? I want Montessori activities. And every time I said, just take a step back. The activities are not so important. What is most important is the way that the environment is prepared, the way that your home environment is prepared. And it does not matter what your home looks like. All your child needs is a simple, ordered and accessible environment. So yes, the environment is important, but not because it looks perfect, not because you've got all these amazing activities for your child. just having something that is simple and ordered and accessible, so the child can wipe the floor, so the child can pour their own drink, so your child can get dressed for themselves in the morning, depending on what that looks like on their age, for their age. That is what's important. It is a accessibility of the child, of the environment for the child, that gives them that inner sense of capability, that sense of independence in terms of being able to do things for themselves. That is what Montessori is all about. It is not about perfection. It is not about putting lots of different activities out every single day. That's not what it's about. It is about preparing a space that is suited to the needs of our children. And the reason we prepare an environment that is suited to the needs of our children, in being accessible and in being ordered and being simple, is because when children are able to practice their skills, they learn at a very, very young age that they are capable. And someone who feels capable as a young child grows into an adult who feels capable. And when we feel capable as adults, it means that we are in a space to be able to reach out and help others and support others. We are not able to support others and help others if we're not feeling great about ourselves, no matter how much we want to. In its very, very simplest terms, Montessori is about the preparation of the environment. In terms of Montessori, is about preparing a home so children can be capable and have independence for themselves. So once they have these capabilities, these skills, they can then turn to another person in their family, in their classroom, in their community, and they can see what they can do to help somebody else. That is the core of it. Children, people who feel capable, can help other people, can build community. That is what the point of a Montessori environment is. For me, that is what my belief is. That's what I have seen through my work in the classroom. That is what I have seen through my own children. And that is what I have seen through my work as a parent enrichment educator, helping other families in workshops and one-on-one in their own homes. Of course, it's multi-layered, and the Montessori philosophy is as deep as an ocean. But that's what it means for me. And that's the importance of it. It is not having a different activity every day. It is not having a perfect home. It is not buying tons and tons of materials and art activities and all the other things. They are all wonderful, but that is not the core of Montessori. The core of Montessori is having capable human beings who can grow into capable adults who want to help others. That is the point. So that's the first thing I want to say about Montessori being a way of life. So when you're preparing your home in a Montessori way, you want to follow Montessori, the first thing to think about is my home accessible to my child? Is everything that I am putting for my child, is it accessible to them? Can they reach it? Can they manage it for themselves? What steps do I need to take back? What do I need to remove so they can do it for themselves? What do I need to add so they've got the right amount of challenge? That's the question to think about, not what else can I buy? That's not the point. It's what else can I offer in terms of independence. Thank you, Myra. And then the second thing about Montessori being a way of life is that Dr. Montessori talked about the spiritual preparation of the adult when working with children. And she specifically spoke about this with regards to educators, with regards to teachers and guides in the classroom. But I think it's really relevant for parents as well. And her later work moved on to talking about the child in the home and working with parents. But the initial quote is something to the words effect of is, when we're working with children, we must any adult must tear out the roots of prejudice that they have about children. And what she meant by that is that when we are with children, when we are working with children, we need to look at our own stuff first. We see a child, for example, messing around or behaving badly or being aggressive or being rough or breaking something or whatever it is. That will trigger us in some way, and we'll be like, oh, she's misbehaving, or he's aggressive, or whatever it might be. And that's from our programming, that's from our experience, and that's from our conditioning in the first 6 years of life. So It's called conscious parenting now today, but Dr. Montessori was talking about it 100 years ago. And what it is just being really aware of, in our interactions with children, what we are bringing to the table. What else are we bringing? What baggage are we bringing to our interactions with our children or with other children, whether we're in the classroom or not, whether we're on a play date, when we're on a park, whether we're in the classroom, whether we're in our own home, whether it's with cousins or aunts or nieces or nephews. What baggage are we bringing that is affecting our interaction with this child at this time? Dr. Montessori had a beautiful expression, which was, the child is new every day. And so that means that we look at that child with fresh eyes. Ideally, we look at our child with fresh eyes. So, as I said, this is what conscious parenting is. We are aware of the baggage that we are bringing to our interactions with our children. And that's what the spiritual preparation of the adult is. And that's the second aspect of Montessori being a way of life, not just an education system. What we do in the classroom as educators is we see the child, we endeavour to see the child as new every day. We see that behind every behaviour that there is a need, that there is an interest, that there is something going on, there is a process for the child. And we see that in the classroom. So our calling, what our call to action is to do this with our own child. And it's great because nowadays there is so much information about this. There is, you can Google conscious parenting and get hundreds of sites now. Conscious parenting, mindful parenting, respectful parenting. All of this comes from the Montessori principles, whether people are aware of it or not. And obviously, this is Montessori. Dr. Montessori wrote about this 100 years ago, so she's not using the terms like mindful parenting or intentional living, and she's not using the term conscious parenting because this has only been coined quite recently. But she does talk about respect a lot, and respect of the child is one of the core tenets, or actually the core tenet of Montessori philosophy, because her vision was for a more peaceful and a more joyful and a more harmonious world. And she knew that this could only happen through children, and starting at the littlest children. And this was her vision. She lived through 2 world wars, so her vision was for world peace. So she knew that the only way, or she observed, the only way that this could be achieved was through respect of a child. If we start with the respect of one child, then that ripples out to respect of all the children in the classroom, and then to the wider community, and then the country, and then the continent, and then the world. She knew that. Now it's called respectful parenting or conscious parenting. But that's essentially what it is. If we show the utmost respect, we do the work on ourselves, we show the utmost respect to the child in that moment. And respect means freedom within boundaries. It doesn't mean permissive parenting. Respect means giving a boundary and holding that boundary, but supporting our child when they want to resist that boundary. So it's time to leave the park. I know you really don't want to. This is to a 2-year-old. This is really hard, so I'm going to pick you up and I'm going to and I'm going to carry you home, or I'm going to carry you to the car, or whatever it might be. We have a boundary that we need to adhere to because life goes on and we have a rhythm. We can still keep that boundary and not be resentful, but be respectful to our child, and we can let them know that this is what needs to happen, but I can support you through it. This is what the limit is, but I'm going to help you honour that limit. Whatever the language that feels good for us in these scenarios. So that for me is what Montessori living, the Montessori way of life is all about. Montessori at home, and it doesn't mean that your child is going to go on to a Montessori school, but our basic essentials are: is your home simple, accessible and ordered? Is everything that your child needs accessible to them? Do they have freedom to get what they need? And secondly, the way that we interact with our children, the way that we speak to our children, the way that we speak to our children is from a place of respect, knowing that when we are triggered by our child's behaviour, that's something from our past, that's our baggage, our conditioning. So can we tear out those roots of prejudice, as Dr. Montessori said, and see the child new every day? Can we do the work we need to do on ourselves to recognize when we are triggered, and to walk through that sometimes painful experiences actually, and painful realizations, and a painful awakening to how we want to parent. And it can be really, really painful, because when we look at things from our childhood and we respond in certain ways that are not in alignment with how we want to be, then it takes some digging to look at our childhood and think, you know, this is nothing to do with criticizing our parents. This is very much like, this is what my parents knew 30, 40 years ago, how to deal with discipline. The knowledge we have now, 40 years later, is different, so I'm going to do it differently. But we've got to unpick what we're bringing. We've got to unpick our baggage with us first. And that's what conscious parenting is. That's actually what Montessori parenting is. But nowadays, we're going to hear it called intentional parenting, mindful parenting, conscious parenting, respectful parenting. All of these things, knowing the baggage that we bring, and knowing that if we treat our children with utmost respect, then that is going to have a ripple effect in our family and in our homes and in our classes, our schoolrooms, classrooms and schools, in our communities and in the wider world. So, an accessible environment and respect. Those are the two tenets I wanted to speak to you, the two basic principles I wanted to speak to you about this evening. Whether or not your child is going to go into Montessori education, whether or not your child's Montessori education is available to you, physically or financially. That's what I would like to say. So, in terms of our vision for a more peaceful and a more harmonious world, I invite you into the world of Montessori. There are some beautiful resources online. Have a look through my website, enrichingenvironments.com. You can follow me. You can follow the hashtags, things like conscious parenting, mindful parenting, respectful parenting, peaceful parenting. All of those resources are so helpful in looking at what we need to unpack. And then for the accessible environment, look at things like The Kind Cocoa Mama, Montessori Notebook, Nick Cav, the Kavanagh Report, Montessori Madre. There are so many incredible accounts where you can see the simplicity of Montessori without the need for the perfection which is sometimes shown. So, thank you all for joining me this evening. I hope this has been useful and insightful on your journey of parenting. And if you have any questions, as ever, please do not hesitate to message me at sayhello@enrichingenvironments.com or message me on Instagram. And whilst you're here, I am with Malak, with the baby whisperer, Cecile, on Thursday at 10 a.m. on Malak Baby Care Instagram Live to talk about Montessori from babies. So Montessori from the very start, respectful parenting from the very start. I'll see you at Malak on Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Myra. And definitely we are not perfect. And I really wanted to share this about doing the work on ourselves. It's really, really important because lots of people say to me when they come into my home, oh, it's really, really calm, and that I seem really, really calm with the children, and the way I speak to the children is really beautiful and all of those things. However, I am a human being. I do lose my temper. I do shout, and I do apologize afterwards. But also, I have a lot of work to do. I have had a lot of work, and I continue to do a lot of work around my conditioning, around the way that I speak to children, the triggers that I have, and the way that I respond when I'm triggered. So I'm not saying this from a place where it's easy for me, and I'm not saying it from a place where I'm perfect, not at all. I'm saying this from a place where I have really, really struggled with some of my conditioning. I've really, really struggled with a lot of the aspects of parenting that I really had no idea of what to do. I knew that I wanted to do things in a different way. Instinctively, I knew that. That's probably why I was drawn to Montessori. I'm very, very untidy. That's probably why I was drawn to Montessori, because I love the order of it. But quite a few of you who have been to my home know I do not have a perfect cream and white home. I have a welcoming home and I have a homely home, but it's certainly not perfect, and it's certainly not ordered, and it's certainly not tidy all of the time. It's the richness of our home and our culture and our experience, and the richness of our experience in general, our life experience. This is what helps us to grow. And some of these childhood things that we dig into, sorry, my nose is really running from my cold. Some of this work that we do on ourselves is really, really difficult. It's really, really challenging, but it is going to help us longer term. As our children grow and develop, they offer us different challenges. They offer us different triggers. They offer us different ways of working on ourselves. And as long as we have this open heart, this expanding into, okay, I can handle this. I read a beautiful quote that the universe never gives us more than we can handle. I don't know if that's true or not, but it really spoke to me when I heard it. I'm speaking to you as someone who is very, very flawed, and I have a lot of imperfections in terms of the way that I parent, the way that I interact with the world, and things that I'm working on. I'm saying this to you heart to heart because I know how hard this journey can be if you feel like you're not getting it right, if you feel that you're making mistakes, if you feel that you're moving away from the best version of yourself in your parenting or in any part of your life every single day. I know that, and I feel that, and I recognize that. And this year has been particularly challenging for that, hasn't it? Because of Corona and all the restrictions and what have you. So, yes, we're on the same path. We're in the same boat. And thank you so much for joining me. Myra, do I have any workshops on working with individuals who aren't parents? Yes, I do, Myra. I can work with you on a one-to-one basis, or I can work with you in a workshop. Let me send you a PM. And because I'm actually trained as a life coach as well, as a parent enrichment educator. So I would love to speak to you about that, Myra. And until next week, Top Tip Tuesday, I wish you all a wonderful evening, a great week, and I'll speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.